and go through the whole cycle, open a bank account, register
Man,
with
that's a
Telr,
great idea.
everything, and just go live
Even
online.
a bank account.
Even a bank account.
Man, bank account takes so much time here in Dubai for some reason.
Yes. So that's coming soon.
Back in 2014, e-commerce in the Middle East was exploding, but nearly everyone still paid cash on delivery. Payment gateways were clunky, expensive, and disconnected from the region. That's when Telr emerged. Today, I'm joined by Khalil Alami, CEO of Telr, who took over the company in 2019 and turned it into one of the region's most ambitious fintech platforms. From empowering freelancers on Instagram to enabling unicorns, Telr now operates in 11 countries and is quietly building something huge. A full-stack fintech ecosystem built for the region from the region. In this episode, we unpack how Telr is making payments invincible and instant, why they shut down a popular product, and what that says about real customer focus and the bold vision behind Telr 3.0. This is more than a fintech story. It's a masterclass in product thinking, local innovation, and customer obsession. What was the most surprising thing that you found in Dubai?
How fast technology is adopted in the market of UAE, not just Dubai, the whole UAE. So technology is quite fast paced and it's adopted quite quickly. The demographic is made to adopt the technology because if it works, then it eases a lot of issues for them. But at the same time, what is even more surprising is how the actual regulators are holding the ecosystem and supporting it and making sure that this innovation, the speed of innovation of technology, is actually delivered to the end consumer in the right way without over burdening the ecosystem like other markets in the region. So I think those are the two things that I would say surprised me in Dubai: the speed of innovation and technology, at the same time the enrichment of the regulator towards the innovators and the technology companies.
I mean, and for those who are not familiar with Telr, what do you do? Who are you building this for?
I mean, we're very proud that we're one of the oldest fintech companies in the UAE, or in the region, actually. So we started back in 2014, and we are super proud to be an award-winning, fully licensed, regulated by the Central Bank of UAE financial institution or payments company. We used to be, when we started, we used to call ourselves a payment gateway. But today, with our recent licensing with the new regulations that came in the UAE, we pivoted a little bit into becoming a payments company where we like to call ourselves a fintech forward acquirer. But all of this jargon, what does it mean to somebody listening to this podcast? Is basically we enable our clients, the merchants, to accept payments from their customers, whether it was online, through an app, a website, and soon a device, face-to-face transactions. So that's basically what we do. We fully enable merchants to accept payments online or from their customers.
But who are you building this for? Who exactly? Is it the small businesses? Is it the freelancers? Is it the big companies?
So we're sector agnostic.
Okay.
We have clients in all kinds of different backgrounds. So I would say we have startups, SMEs, large corporates, government accounts, multinationals, and so forth. But having said that, because we have built our own technology, like I mentioned, so we started back in 2014 solving a certain problem that was in the market. And that problem was e-commerce was on the verge of exploding and started to grow. You started seeing the souk.coms, the various websites pre-Amazon era in this region, and everybody wanted to sell online, but it was almost 100% cash on delivery. So high returns, many issues that these companies faced. So with that in mind, we built our own state-of-the-art payment gateway to enable those e-commerce merchants to accept their payments from their customers online. So with that technology, we were able to build that platform for them. And from there, we started focusing our product to be built with startups in mind. So if you remember around the 2014, 2015 era, the ride-hailing apps started, coming into the region right after they started launching all around the world. And if you remember, most of those ride-hailing apps used to only accept cash. Yes. So we decided to look into how we can accept cards as part of that application, and we took that there, we launched it successfully, and we grew with that company as they grew. And we always kept in our DNA startups and SMEs as top of mind, trying to cater for them and grow with them to become a unicorn or a large corporate and what have you, so our services continue to grow. So to answer your question, we focus and tailor our products to startups and SMEs, but we also cater for all the industry levels.
So there is a very old fintech company. He's coming on the podcast next week, and he always says that we miss the payment gateway surge in 2014. And he always said Telr was the first in the market. I know that you joined the company a little bit later, but how were you guys able to spot this is the right time?
So I don't know how much you know about the story of how it started in 2014. The original founder of Telr was the general manager of PayPal of the region at the time, a Lebanese guy that saw this opportunity and decided to take that leap of faith in order to build this whole tech. Because e-commerce or anybody that wanted to accept payments online back at that time was looking for a payment gateway from the East or from the West.
Yes.
Zero customer service, extremely high fees. They don't know who they're dealing with. Are they going to get the money or not? Are they going to get paid? They have no idea. It's a black box. Support was absolutely not there. And that was the idea behind, the invention of a payment gateway that is built in the region for the region, and just headquartered it in Dubai, grew it from here. All of our tech staff are here. And then we grew it from here. And then we moved about maybe, I would say, 8 or 9 years ago to expand it into Saudi Arabia as well. And we grew from there.
And I always want to ask, how did you guys solve for trust? Because one of the things, especially in 2014, 15, 16, it was a little bit not normal for us. Hey, I can pay online. I prefer to pay cash. And now it's like we look at it as the norm. But back then it was like a little bit weird.
True. But you have to remember back then, the paying online meant using your Visa or MasterCard card or American Express, I would say at the most, right? So you were really banking on the trust of the card that you have from your bank. And chargebacks are always there for you. There's somebody to call. Debit card was not really highly penetrated for the online purchases at the time, mostly credit cards. And people trusted, when you talk about payment cards between Visa, MasterCard, and American Express, and then obviously JCB, Union Pay, and others, they're very well trusted.
And you joined the company later, 2016?
2019.
2019. And you've taken Telr from what you called a gem that needed polishing to a regional leader. I want to know what exactly clicked for you when you first saw Telr.
You've done your research. So I joined in 2019. When I looked at the opportunity, it was actually a gem that needed polishing, like you mentioned. And what clicked for me is, here's a company that is, like you mentioned, the first fintech in the market, or the first payment gateway in the market. It's an old company, relatively old company, has first mover advantage in the market. The technology was fantastic. When I looked at it, being in the payments industry for most of my previous career, I looked at the product, and the product was mind-blowing. This is really an excellent technology, excellent platform, excellent product. All the features are there. It just lacked just one direction with vision of a dedicated way of what goals do we want to achieve. So that's really what clicked for me. And then obviously it was planted in the heart of where fintech is, the hub of fintech in the region is the UAE. So it is an opportunity. I saw that opportunity, and I decided to seize it in order to create what I call the Telr 2.0. And from there, We started running with innovations, new product, innovating new different ideas and features, revamping the technology in order to elevate it to 2019 era and plus, and that's really what clicked for me.
And so the core problem that Telr was trying to solve is payment gateway.
Yes.
And how did it evolve now to this big ecosystem that's today?
So when we first started, like I mentioned, e-commerce was its infancy. Today, e-commerce looks very different than what it looked in 2014 or even 2019. So we were lucky while we were innovating in 2019. We were super lucky with, COVID, I guess, although it was bad in general, but for us as a company, it was very helpful because everybody was running, towards going online. All the different closures that were happening all around the world, people wanted ways to pay online. So we seized that wave and started innovating and trying to, get things rolling in the right direction. And from there, we accelerated our products. And not only that, but also COVID accelerated the adoption and trust that you mentioned of the consumer to actually pay online. People were scared of touching cash. People are sitting at home ordering groceries on delivery for the first time, maybe elderlies or people that did not really order anything online through the apps or the websites. And the delivery came in from behind the door. They don't want to see the guy, leave them at the door, leave, no contact delivery. They don't want to touch the cash because they think it's dirty. So the adoption was super quick. And we had to run with that. And from there, really, we started evolving into the mindset of we want to create not just a payment gateway, but a one-stop shop for everything e-commerce, because the e-commerce evolves and the consumer trends evolve with that. The consumers demand certain products from their merchants and from the different websites and apps, and we have to evolve with that because we have to cater for it. And from there, we decided to go into the one-stop shop mindset where a person or an entrepreneur can get into contact with Telr and start from zero, where he can build his own online store using Telr tools, get the payment gateway, have a back end, sales management, all that stuff, and start unloading his catalog of products, uploading his catalog of products, and do a full sales cycle just with Telr. So that's how we shifted into an ecosystem. And we grew off from there. And then obviously that progressed and changed again. And I'll tell you more about it.
So how many products now, give or take, do you have like in Telr? What are the main products that will be very helpful for someone when he comes on Telr?
So at the moment, we have a full circle of products for anybody that wants to do e-commerce. We have since, I think, last year dropped what we called at the time that we created Telr Shops, which was a product that was developed for people that wanted to go online during COVID and had nothing, zero infrastructure. And that's something,
It was a very popular product at COVID.
At the time.
Yes.
But it wasn't our core, right? So we cannot do it better than the Shopify or any of those other players. So, but we did it to solve a problem for that time. But we're not shy or afraid to say it's not our core, so let's shut it down. There's no more traction for it. We did it for a reason, and now it's no longer suitable. Let's shut it down. And from there, we pivoted and added more value-added services, and we have everything, for everybody that wants to sell anything online. At the same time, we're launching something new that we're entering into the market for the first time. Is we thought about what is the biggest obstacle for entrepreneurs to actually sign on with Telr, because as part of a regulation and as a regulated entity, we can only onboard clients of ours that are actually merchants, which are legally established entities. But today you have somebody with a great idea, great product that does not have that entity. So we're creating and launching, very soon you'll hear about it, something called Telr Incepta. Telr Incepta enables you to log on to Telr.com, register a company from scratch, and go through the whole cycle, open a bank account, register
Man,
with
that's
Telr,
a great idea.
everything, and just go live
Even
online.
a bank account.
Even a bank account.
Man, bank account takes so much time here in Dubai for some reason.
Yes. So that's coming soon.
And I'm so excited for this product.
Yeah, and that's a pivot from teller shops into full blown. It even has bill payments, travel arrangements, everything. You can even buy an Emirates flight ticket, book a hotel or something like that, and then you can take it from there. And it's all embedded within our payment gateway as well. And if you have a website, you can also integrate directly into it, and go from there. So that's tells you about our product line from A to Z.
So there's a lady that I used to know back 2020. She used to sell soap. Again, she want to go online and she want to try different websites. I gave her few recommendations, but then Telr for some reason clicked for her. She's not really tech savvy, but she was able to log in, create account over there, and she started getting paid.
Yes,
it was so easy.
Yes, so we have a lot of solutions for when you say an entrepreneur, sometimes some people think of somebody sitting in an office and it's buzzing and all that, but a lot of these entrepreneurs, or the majority of them, are people sitting at home, maybe baking a cake and selling it, right? So they're not tech savvy, they're not an actual business, right? But they have something and they need to get paid for it, and that's where our social commerce comes in. We have a social commerce product where you can sell from Instagram, you can sell through WhatsApp, through payment links, QR codes, a bunch of different things. So that's made specially for that. And that's why I told you, we think when we develop products, we think about startups, entrepreneurs, SMEs, and then we develop it for large corporates.
But still, how can you maintain this customer centricity in a big company? Especially when a startup starts, they know that they need to serve the customer. They found product market fit, and then I would say they become lazy. But if I see all the product lines, all of them, they really serve the customers. Like one, you decided to shut down this product that you launched in COVID because it's not trendy anymore. And if you spoke with most new founders, they will say that legal is one of the biggest hurdles. Oh, bank account is the biggest hurdle. And you decided to tackle the biggest problem. How do you focus on this customer-centric problems?
So we listen to I think it's multi-tiered, but the first thing is we listen to the market and the market demand. But at the same time, we listen to our merchants. We see what they need, because there's no point in us building or innovating something or building something and delivering to the merchant that he doesn't need and nobody will use. So it's a waste of time for everybody. It's a waste of money. So we listen to what they need. And then from there, we look at it as it's demanded by the market and it's commercially viable. Commercially viable, not in a sense that we want to make millions from it, in a sense that we can actually financially sustain it as a service. So there is financial viability in it, and then it falls within all the regulations and within the ecosystem in a proper manner, and we can deliver it in a timely fashion, and that's how we decide to come up with the next feature.
But as a CEO, how can you instill in your team that, hey, we have to be customer centric? Not if I'm a product manager, I have an idea of a feature, let's go create it.
That's it's a much larger conversation. So I think we Telr as a brand has certain brand values, and one of them is being customer centric. We pride ourselves as being a boutique service, and that has to go top down. If I am not customer centric, then nobody in my team will be customer centric. And that's a firm belief that I have, that it's a top-down culture. And from there, I deal with merchants directly. I'm a salesperson, I'm a customer service person, I'm an accountant, and I'm everything. and that's the culture we have inside, that everybody does everything. Okay, we all have roles, obviously, but at the same time, we have to make sure that at the end of the day, we are a financial institution that deals with people's money, and people's money is super sacred, super important, and super emotional. So we have to maintain that customer-centric approach with that is balanced and regulated and within the norms of professional ethics. So,
and why don't you just stick with payment? Because I know a lot of companies they do payments really well and they stick with payment. Why you decide to create an ecosystem and go all the way to the beginning of the life cycle?
I'll tell you why. We do payments very well, and what we noticed is payments is only a part of the whole flow of a transaction. So if we do it very well, but it fails in the beginning, so we'll never get to do it. And if it fails after it, then the whole cycle is broken and the experience of the customer is just sucks. So we decided to, we do this very well. We will continue to do it very well. What other aspects of that whole cycle can we evolve and innovate in without losing our core value of payments? So to be more transparent, things that we think that should happen and we can innovate but are not our wheelhouse, our strong house, we collaborate with other fintechs in the market. We don't have to reinvent it. So we collaborate on merchant financing. For example, we provide merchant financing based on their sales at Telr, but it's not our wheelhouse. We're not a finance company. So we have collaborated and partnered up with a fintech that is specialized in merchant financing, but we make sure that they are up to the par and the standard level of service that they have is up to the standard. So we bring them within as Telr Finance, powered by our partner and so forth. And the same thing we did. So company setup, we don't know how to do company setup, but we partnered with the best in the market that can do company setup through APIs, can open a bank account on the spot through APIs, and we embedded them within our ecosystem under the brand of Telr Incepta.
I heard you once said that Telr owned its full tech stack.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So what that means is I'm a firm believer of everything in-house, as long as we can do it better than getting anything off the shelf. So today, our technology that we own is 100% owned, created, developed by our team. What that means and why is the question. Today, when we have a merchant that is a small startup or a huge multinational and wants to create a customization or wants something in a certain manner that is not off the shelf, we can customize for each and every single merchant. And that's what creates the boutique service. So the market, as you know, the e-commerce landscape is super quick in development, in evolvement, in all of that. And in order to maintain the same speed with the merchants and their needs, we can customize our source code. We can customize our experience to them for each and every one of them. And since it's ours, we do it for free. So they don't have to pay for it. If they go to any of our competitors that don't have their own technology, like most of them do, and they ask for a customization, they'll either get an answer of no, sorry, we can't do that, or sure, we can do that. It's going to take 6 months and it's going to cost you $10,000.
Again, that's why, because it's very costly to customize code for each individual. I know it's maybe a technical question, but how are you guys been able to do that in a very short period of time?
So again, the payment is the payment, right?
Yes.
The actual process of the payment
Stick.
It's per standard. There's a certain way of doing it, but what comes around it, your payment page, you have a logo, you have a brand, you have a color that you prefer. It's fully customizable, and that's how we've built our technology. We understand that somebody selling cupcakes online needs something, but somebody that sells cars and car services online needs something totally different. And that's how we can customize it. We own our own source code. So our developers are split into, different sections where some are customer facing and some are not. And they continue to develop. When there is a need, there's a request from a customer, hey, I don't like accepting payments in this flow, I want to accept it backwards, or I want to do that, we fully customize it. And it's also about not just catering for the customer in a boutique service way, but also it creates stickiness, right, of our product. When you have a large merchant that comes in and says, hey, I need you to develop this function, this feature for me that we don't have, and it makes sense for us to develop it for him, and then we can also utilize it for others. So we actually go ahead and do it, because it's not only benefiting him, but it'll also benefit all the other merchants that we have. So we develop it, and it creates stickiness. They like it. And it creates in their mind, it's as if Telr is their own personal payment gateway, and whatever they need, we do.
But how will you sustain this when you guys scale even bigger than this?
AI.
Good question.
Yeah. That's one of the ways, but yes. I think we've reached a point where a lot of the things we've seen that before. So if we don't have it, it's not that big of a deal to build it. But also, like I said, AI is definitely something that we've, we continue to look into and see how we can also make sure that it's embedded within our services.
Have you guys found any actual useful thing that AI can do in the company so far?
Yes, in automation. Okay. Of certain aspects, in anti-fraud as well. So yeah, there are a couple of use cases that we are in the testing phases of.
So owning your stack is one way where you guys were innovate faster because your competitors are using third-party platforms.
Correct.
What else?
What else is what?
What else, besides owning your own tech stack, allowed you guys to innovate faster?
I think our closeness to the merchant is being a boutique service. I think that's another thing. But also, it's not just customization, but it's also localization. I think we're one of the few, if not the only, that is, we support 120 languages. Our dashboards are in English, Arabic, and Hindu from the get-go. If you want any other language, we have 120 plus languages. So that's another. So hyper-localization is something that is also available with Telr, and that's something that also allows us to, because it's kind of like customization, but it's easier, but it's also much more needed by the merchant.
Yeah, and by localization, it's not just languages; it's even the design of the app changes as well.
Absolutely.
And because a lot of companies that come from the West, they fail because they fail in localization because they don't really understand the sport so well.
I mean, Arabic alone is right to left.
Yes,
that screws up the whole thing. So that alone, a lot of people cannot master.
And what's like a bet you made on a new feature or a trend that turned out to be wrong, and how did you pivot?
I wouldn't say it's wrong, but it's the example I gave you on Telr shops, where at that point in time, it made sense. It had a use. It had a use case, and it served a purpose. But then as time went along, like I told you, we're not a Shopify competitor, and we cannot do a marketplace or a website for a merchant better than them or others in the market. So that's one thing that we took a decision to kind of phase out. Although it was a great product and I liked it, and it was also supported Arabic, which Shopify didn't at the time.
True, and it onboarded a lot of new users on the platform as well.
Absolutely.
But how did you take the decision to sunset this product? Is it you look at the numbers, the growth, or strategically in the future it would not make sense for you guys?
It's the numbers and the growth.
Okay.
The traction stopped at a point in time, and being a payment-centric company, we master what we know, and that's an area that is sitting on the sideline of payments, but it's not actually our core business.
And now Telr operates in 11 markets across the GCC, Levant. What was the one surprising lesson you learned from entering a new country?
Entering a new country. Each country. I mean, when you bundle up, for example, let's say the GCC together, right? You would think that all the markets are similar, but from a payments perspective, they're very different actually. And you'll be surprised to know that some markets in the GCC are debit card centric, like over 90% of their transactions are on debit cards, versus other markets that are the complete vice versa. So that's something that is surprising. So one of the I think more specific examples would be, going into a market and seeing how local payment methods are much stronger than the usual players that we know, like Visa, Mastercard, and American Express. So that's one of the things.
I'm assuming in Saudi they have a lot of debit, not credit.
So Saudi is a debit market. Kuwait is a debit market. Yeah, Saudi has a I think one of the best success stories maybe of the last 5 to 10 years. The MEDA local payment scheme is a debit card, local debit card that they've launched, and it is a pure success story. And today we can easily say over 85% of all the online transactions are done on MEDA, not on Visa, not on MasterCard, not on American Express.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then also another big success story in the Saudi market as well is during COVID, the launch of STC Pay, which is a local, mobile wallet. The adoption was super crazy. Obviously, it was accelerated by COVID, but they had to invest a lot on education of what is a mobile wallet. It's never been seen in Saudi before, and how do you use it? And the adoption was insane. And those two payment methods are the dominant payment methods of Saudi Arabia today.
So if you want the surprising thing that how different countries, even the GCC, behave with money.
Yes, they're very different, and that was surprising. You would think that one of the largest markets in the region is Saudi, right? And you would think that the payments landscape would be very similar to any advanced market, that it's purely Visa, Mastercard, credit cards all over the place, but it's not. And that's not a negative point. It's actually a very positive point from different aspects, whether it was the economy, whether it was even on the acquiring side, on our side, it was extremely positive. So yeah, it's definitely that.
But why do you think is a lot of people use debit in Saudi, not credit? Is that a religious thing or
I don't think it's a religious thing. There's a lot of credit cards in the market.
Yeah.
But you have to remember that the cost to merchant is much cheaper to accept a MEDA card than a Visa or a MasterCard.
Okay.
So that's driven by that. At the same time, I think the card penetration ratios of credit card penetration ratios are still low in that market. Yeah, I think the central bank of Saudi did a lot of initiatives during COVID that were extremely positively impacted the payments landscape. So I remember at least one for a whole year during COVID, I think up to September of 2021 maybe, the central bank demanded that all payment processing fees to become zero. But that's not out of our pocket. We were reimbursed for that, but the merchant paid zero. So that's something that was extremely surprising and extremely positive.
Yeah, I mean their open banking system is amazing.
It's phenomenal.
But we always, for some reason, here we compare UAE and Saudi. Always think the same. What do you think is the most misunderstood difference between UAE and Saudi payment ecosystem?
I don't like comparing them because they're both super advanced as an infrastructure, and both regulators are super dynamic, but the demographics are very different. But both have equally successful or success stories in each market that are fabulous success stories, but that are very different. I think if you look at Saudi with their Vision 2030 and what they've achieved so far, being only 5 years away still, they've achieved many of the milestones. The market is huge. The market is hungry for innovation, and there's a lot of innovation that's going on there. At the same time, like I mentioned, it's a debit market. At the same time, you look at the UAE and the different initiatives that there are here that are supportive to the private sector, supportive to innovation. It's also crazy. There's a lot of success stories that you can look at here as well. And we're very proud to be part of the future 100 companies of the UAE. It's a recent initiative that is done by the Ministry of Economy and Innovation, and that's just a testament of the various things that keep innovating in the UAE. So I don't think you can compare them. They're very different, but they're both equally dynamic and successful at this in a different aspect.
So I reached out with your competitor. Maybe I'll tell you the name offline.
Sure.
He told me of the questions to ask you, that you've been very vocal about BNPL, embedded finance, open banking. What's your honest take about what's hype and what's here to stay?
Yeah, so he wants to get me into trouble. Yeah, I've been very vocal about buy now, pay later. Buy now, pay later has been a buzzword for quite some time, and the product is great. It solved some issues, but it's not a new product. It's a product that's been there for a very long time, but the new buzzword is the new innovation of technology of making it more automated, in my personal opinion. But it has its challenges as the regulation tightens. As the time goes by, I think it will have a certain, for lack of a better word, there'll be some more restrictions. But open finance is, I believe, the future. Where and the reason I say that, it's because it is what the market is demanding. It is what the customer needs. Because you look at today's let's say users or the demographic today in the market, and it's millennials that have basically a very low attention span, but they need instant everything, instant gratification, instant everything on the mobile, right? And it has to happen immediately. And if there is a very bad user experience, they're not going to do it. And now to do that, and that's what brings in the super apps that we're seeing, whether it was Kareem with their super app, or Chimera, or Bottom, or whoever it is. They have now everything in one app, right? And that's all about embedding everything from within, right? So I don't want to be clicking too many clicks and opening different apps for different. So embedding that whole finance in cross things, I think that's where the future is going to be. Open banking obviously is the foundation for all of that. The regulation is being continuously developed and enhanced, and you'll see new things coming in, part of embedded finance. And from our perspective on embedded finance, what we're launching soon as well is your ability to pay all the merchants of Telr using your own current account or bank account in any bank from the UAE. So not just paying by Apple Pay or Visa or MasterCard, but also paying by your, ADCB or MSNBD bank account with a click of a button.
Yeah, but one word you glossed over. What exactly it's open finance?
Open finance is basically kind of like embedded finance. Okay. So embedding the payments from within any app. So you can. What's a good example for that?
So let's say my banking information transaction can be used in another application that will help me. Hey, what do you think I will buy next month?
I think that's one example. You can do it, but think about from if you're using a certain app from within that same app, you can access everything from a financial perspective, make a payment and all of that. So that's, I think, to simplify it in a sense.
So you don't think BNPL is here to stay? You're betting more on open finance?
I don't think it's about staying or not staying. I think buy now, pay later has been there for a very long time, much long before all these companies that we've
Yeah,
heard.
but for some reason, the UAE and Saudi is actually working profitable, and the other companies in the West, they're not doing so well.
Is it?
Klarna?
I know, that's not my question. Is it doing so well?
Oh God, that's a great question.
I don't know. I mean, it could be, but I don't.
I don't want to mention the companies, but a few companies are doing relatively well.
I think so, maybe. I don't know. I hope so. We partner with, we have Telr Buy Now Pay Later that's powered and partnered with Tabby, we offer it. It's something that a lot of merchants are asking for.
Yeah, and Tab is doing really well in Saudi.
It's doing well. We have it in Saudi. We have it in the UAE. It's doing well in certain segments.
Yes.
In certain merchants, but yeah, I mean, there is a certain use case. Is it here to stay? I don't know, but it's not. It's not a matter of staying or not staying. I think the whole payments landscape will shift and pivot with the introduction of open banking and open finance.
And it's a very exciting topic. And how do you decide which payment method, trend, integration to bet on, given the explosion of form factors and rails?
I think I mean the whole. So one thing that we look at is obviously the market feedback and the merchant needs, and that's, I think, our Bible of how we look at things. And then from there we look at adoption. Even if the merchants are asking, hey, I want, I don't know, just for the sake of example, Google Pay. They keep asking for Google Pay. Fine. We listen. We look at Google Pay. But what is really the market share of Google Pay? Is it actually viable? Okay, we can build it and waste, 1 month building it. And then after we build it, is it going to actually positively impact their sales? Is it going to increase their sales? Is there going to be any transactions on it? And that's what we evaluate. And that's, I think, how we look at it. And then we're not afraid to say, hey, we screwed up. I think this was the wrong bet. Let's pivot. It's not, we're not shy to to confess that we screwed up somewhere and it's time to sunset that product or pivot into something else. We're not sure that. And just as a disclaimer, Google Pay is just an example. I'm not saying Google Pay is an excellent product that we actually have and everything, but it was just an example.
No, this is a great touch point because if you look at the trajectory of Telr, there's a few moments where it was lesson learned and you guys pivoted, some products you sunsetted. But Khalil, when you joined Telr at 2019, it was a very different company than what it is now.
Correct.
And what's the leadership decision that you made at Telr that felt very risky at the time, but turned out to be the right move?
I think, I think we touched upon that, and I think, culture is one of the most important things in a company. And how do you translate the brand values that you hold on the Telr brand into the actual culture of the company? And that there were tough decisions, walking into a company that I know nobody in. I had to reevaluate and look at everybody. How in line are they with the vision that's coming and the brand that we're instilling certain values in? And taking the decision to thank them for their service and move on and recruit the right people into the company. And I think that's something that paid off, because I'm very proud of our current team, whether it was the executive leadership team or the operational team or all of our Telr members. I firmly believe that every single staff member at Telr is on top of his skill set. They're the masters of what they do. And I think that's all about, something risky. When I first came in, I didn't know, we're 19 people. Today we're over 70.
Yes.
And making sure that, it was the right decision to let go that, team leader that's sitting in that company has been there for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I think that's would be my answer.
So I think that culture is writing company values and have them on the wall. Or no, what exactly you do for culture?
We have them on the wall. We do have them on the wall.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, we do have them on the wall. And it's like I said, I think culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? I think that's how the saying goes. But we make sure that this is what we breathe, what we live, what we have inside the office. Because internally, if between us as staff members, we don't practice that culture, it will not be translated into the brand value and towards the merchant. We cannot not practice what we preach. And I think that's where it comes from.
And I've heard a few podcast episodes where you talk a lot about humility, experimentation, and how do you balance speed, risk, and precision in decision making today?
I guess humility is the part where, we're not afraid to say we were wrong, right? We and experimentation is,
It's not popular in this region, by the way. Experimentation.
It's not.
It's a culture shock for most people.
It's a culture shock because I think we, as a Arabs, as a culture, we are afraid of rejection
Oh,
or
we're always
failure. Yeah. So, but once you come to terms with it, I mean, what's the point of never admitting that you're wrong? It's going to cost you a lot of money over the years, and then, and lose the market, while you can just say, hey, I screwed up. I made the wrong bet. I took the wrong decision. But hey, here's the solution. Here's what we need to do. This is what we need to pivot and make up for all the lost time. So that's one. So experimentation is very important, but in a controlled environment. So we do experiment in a controlled environment. We have our, certain merchant sets that, we consider them part of our family of Telr, where we say, hey, we're launching, this is something would you like to try it out for us? It's controlled. And then, mitigating the risk, making sure that everything is, under the regulation, everything has to be controlled within the regulation, that is properly tested and in line with all the regulations. So it's a like you said, it's a game of balance, making sure we're fast on our feet, but doing it right within the regulation, and risk is controlled and experimented and tested well.
What does the future of that look like? Are you guys building a fintech platform, a payment empire, or something else entirely?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, when I joined in, it was Telr. So the original founder did Telr, right? And then when I came in, I used the term Telr 2.0. But now we're pivoting into Telr 3.0. So now what we're doing is, and what we're focusing on, not an empire, not a platform, nothing like that. What we're doing is we're building the technology first payment acquirer. That's what we call them. And what does that mean? So after getting we're very proud that we got the central bank license from the Central Bank of UAE, and what that enables us is for us to become masters of our own decision, right? Obviously within the regulation. So what we're doing is we're on a fast track of innovation to create this omni-channel payment product that you can, as a merchant, control from a single view dashboard. What does that mean? Today, we've been a online payment gateway for so long. All of our merchants accept payments online or non-face-to-face. But we know that some of them have stores or pop-ups or somewhere in the mall, or there is a need for a face-to-face transaction. So currently what they do is they use Telr for everything online, but they use some of the more traditional payment companies in the market for their point of sale, desktop point of sale, or their mobile point of sale, or something like that. But they have no view. They look at Teller's dashboard, they see all the online, but they have no view or nothing to do with the online or the offline stuff.
Inventory.
Exactly. Not only inventory, but also, I'll give you an example. If you're buying from Lululemon online,
Yes.
you're paying online. But if you go to the store, you're going to pay on that machine. But that machine is not connected to the online store, and you cannot see one single view of what's going on in transactions. So what we're building is for the merchant one dashboard where he can see. We can provide him the terminal sitting for the store on the desktop, and every transaction that goes through there, along with every transaction that goes on the website, from a single view on the dashboard. And that's the single view dashboard for an omni-channel, multi-channel, whatever you want to call it.
As someone who's worked in fintech for years, I can say that this is a very, very ambitious project. And I really hope you guys got it, because this will be an amazing product in the market.
Yeah, we're not too far.
Okay.
We're not too far. So we're hoping towards the end of the summer, you'll see it.
But now, what are the 2-3 bets Telr is making over the next 3 years that you're most excited about?
Well, obviously, like I said, the omni-channel single dashboard,
Yeah.
that's something that for sure we're betting on, and we're very confident on delivering it. And, continuing our innovation with various things I told you. So now you have at least two new products that you know about.
Absolutely.
The Telr Incepta coming in, the offline payments acquiring, and the single dashboard. So that's three of the our upcoming secret products.
You guys, your product managers, engineers, and designers must be the most productive guys ever, because having so much product in such a short amount of time, it's very, especially in fintech, which is a very regulated market, it's not easy.
Yeah, like I told you, I think I'm very proud of our staff, and I think our staff, like I said, they are masters of their skills. So I'm very proud of them.
How can our audience can be helpful for you? Where can they find you, find Telr? How can they learn more about those products?
Super easy. Telr.com, Telr, is the best way to learn about our products. You can reach me instantly via LinkedIn, through messages on LinkedIn, or just looking at my profile. And I think you can probably link it in the video.
I will put everything in the show
Yeah,
notes.
you can have the website and or you can just simply visit us in our offices or call us. We're all available. Like I said, we're a boutique service, so you can reach me or anybody from my team at any point in time. And we are very proud to have a 24/7 operation.